Hey everybody, welcome to And the Razzie Goes To. I'm Will Purpura.
I'm Laura Merli.
And today we are talking about Rambo First Blood Part 2, 1985.
That's right. We are covering all the Worst Picture winners as designated by the Razzie Awards, the award show for movies that those particular people think are bad, but the real question is, what do we think, Laura Merli and Will Purpura?
More importantly,
Exactly.
what's our opinions?
Mm-hmm.
So, I thought this movie was bad.
I also thought this movie was bad. Spoiler.
But in a ridiculous way where it bordered on funny in a lot of ways because the star is Sylvester Stallone.
Yes. So I guess we'll just go right into the recap.
Yeah.
So Sylvester. That'd be a better stage name, I think. Yeah. Sylvester Stallone. He's in a prison camp. I didn't see the previous movie, but apparently in the previous movie he murdered someone, and apparently the previous movie is much more grounded exploration of PTSD after wartime, and this one is not that at all. No. So I had heard of Rambo, and I'd seen the posters of him looking like an epic, wild, bad guy. So I knew a little bit of what I was in for. What I didn't know is that his name isn't just Rambo. It's John Rambo.
It's got a first name, too.
Yeah. I was like, he's just a John? Really?
That would be an interesting title. John. Yeah. First Blood Part 2.
Yeah. I think seeing him in all of his like wet musculature with just John instead of Rambo, that really gives you a different sort of feel.
Yes.
You know, I guess the movie could have been trying to say that an everyday guy could become a killing machine, but it didn't seem like that was what it was trying to say.
Is that a good moral for a story? Like, hey, one day you could be the ultimate killing machine. So, I don't know if he is the ultimate killing machine. Because,
really? He killed like 300 people in 5 minutes.
But in crazy, like, illogical way. Like,
yes, and everyone else was deeply incompetent.
Yes, yeah. There were times when he was, like, shooting a rifle or something, and he was terrible at aiming and just like all over the place. Yeah,
it seemed like God was on his side, because how else can you explain what was going on?
That's for sure. Yeah,
so we open to John Rambo's in a prison camp where he is just breaking up rocks.
Love that job.
Yeah. It's a classic like Flintstonian kind of job. His old army leader comes in and he's like, Rambo, I got a deal for you. You can get out of here and get a presidential pardon if you do this secret mission for us. We've got a secret mission, and we asked a supercomputer who can do it. And the supercomputer gave us 3 names. You were one of them.
Seems sound logic to do that.
Seems like something computers at the time wouldn't have been able to accomplish.
How could they come up with those names? How would they be able to figure that out?
What would the criteria be that they put into the database?
Ultimate killing machine.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, by the way, what you call hell, he calls home. These are qualifications.
That's
on the
classic
resume.
line in this film.
Yeah.
What you call hell, he calls home.
And then he says to the guy, hey, but do we win this time?
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, that's up to you, Rambo.
He really nails what the whole movie is about. It's that Rambo's in total control, not the U.S. Military, not the Vietnamese military, not even the Russians when they come in. It's just Rambo can defeat them all.
He's the only one who knows exactly what's happening.
Yeah, as long as he wants to.
Yeah.
That's all. He just needs to believe in himself, and he's got this.
And it doesn't matter how many of you are you. He just needs one of him.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he goes to the army base. He meets this guy who's pretty clearly evil.
Yeah.
They refer to him as a bureaucrat.
No good.
And the bureaucrat guy is just like, I don't care about the mission. They're like, okay, like tell him about it. And he's like, okay, Rambo, so what's going to happen is you're going to go in and you're going to actually be a photographer. You're not going to save anybody. You're going to find these POWs, these prisoners of war, and you're just going to take pictures of them, give us the photos. We'll send other guys back in to actually rescue them. And that's your whole thing. Rambo looks at him like, I'm not going to fucking take pictures.
This is the funniest thing they gave Rambo to do. It's like, Rambo, you're the ultimate killing machine and the ultimate photographer. No one can take photos like you.
You're the ultimate bullet shooter. What if you were the ultimate picture shooter?
Why wouldn't they find a journalist or somebody who takes pictures?
I was thinking that. Why wouldn't the ultimate computer who recommended the top 3 people recommend someone who could take covert photos?
Yeah.
This is the 80s. Like, not everybody had a techie camera. We don't know if he even knows how to use the camera.
No, but this is one of the funniest parts of the movie is he loads a knife into his holster. Mm-hmm. He puts ammo into the gun, and then he checks the camera to see if there's film in it.
Which is very important. You gotta check if there's film in it.
It's the most important part because that's all he's there to do.
You can kind of tell he's not just gonna take those photos. He's got stuff to do. Yeah. Because he also was a POW, and he's like, those are my boys. Except he doesn't say that out loud. Throughout this whole movie, he says almost nothing.
He says about 15 words in the entire movie.
Yeah, and you're thinking, oh, well, maybe he's communicating with his face or actions. He's not doing that either.
No.
He's kind of walking from point A to point B, staring blankly into space.
Yes. I mean, even in that first scene, he's like, Rambo, we need you. Why? You're the only man for the job. Okay.
And that, 1 is literally the words that he says, and 2, there's at least 3 beats of a pause before he says that, where you think he's gonna come out with something bigger than that, and then he doesn't.
No.
And that's how he is throughout the entire movie. This movie could have been so much shorter just by cutting like the pauses.
Yeah, cut out the pauses. I would even cut out the lines. I mean, they should just like
they
cut
meant
to him.
So little that he might as well have just been staring.
Yeah. Just head nods throughout the whole thing.
So he kind of knows something's up with the bureaucrat guy. He tells his former army leader guy that he doesn't trust anybody but him. But he goes anyway because he wants to save the boys. They put him in a helicopter, and right when he's gonna jump out of the helicopter, a little string from his pack gets caught on it, and he just is flailing on the side of the helicopter for like what feels like 20 minutes.
Yeah, and people were like, bail, bail, bail.
Yeah, yeah. The people on the ground, especially the bureaucrat guy, are like, just kill him. Just kill him. Who cares? I'm tired.
Yeah, they're ready to give up. This is like the first part of the mission. We just started.
This is 5 minutes into the mission, and the guy's like, cancel.
And they're like, he's going to fall into the blade. He's going to be diced up. And they're like, let
yeah,
it
they're
happen,
like, whatever.
We tried.
Yeah. Rambo takes out his knife. I would say the knife is almost like a character in and of itself in this film.
Oh, yeah. The knife plays a big role.
It's way bigger than it seems like it would need to be.
Yeah.
So he takes out this huge knife and he cuts off a lot of the stuff that's tethering him. And then he falls to the ground, presumably way past the target because they've kept, driving the helicopter. That's not the right word. Flying.
Oh, yeah. I guess so, yeah. Yeah.
Luckily, his parachute still deploys. That's still on him.
Yeah.
He's completely fine. He's wandering through the jungle. He gets a snake pops up. He eliminates the snake in a second.
Yeah.
And then he comes across this figure that we see from the back who's in a big hat and baggy clothes. So we can't tell anything about who this person is. And he just grabs them, pushes them into a tree, and puts the knife right to their head.
That's a fine hello.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This person was not threatening him.
No.
Just walking along. He doesn't even know where he is. But the person is like, oh, I'm actually a pretty lady. I bet you thought I was a man. And he just stares blankly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she's like, I'm the person who's supposed to be helping you out. I'm the not informant. What do you think of the word?
The guide is she guiding him through the jungle over there?
Yeah, she's like his point of contact.
Yeah.
in the jungle.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, I bet you didn't think your point of contact was gonna be a lady. More blank stare.
Rambo doesn't know what to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he follows her. She's like, I found this band of pirates that can take us to the camp. And he says nothing, gets on the boat.
That doesn't faze him in the least.
Nope, not
He's
in
like,
the least.
okay.
Yeah. The pirates drive them there. They chat for a little bit. The woman's name is Ko Bao, I believe. And the way that Ko Bao is speaking is supposed to be a Vietnamese accent, but it does not sound that way, at least to me. What it sounds like is that the script writers took the sentences that they wanted her to say and just deleted every third word.
Yeah.
Yes, people with accents do drop certain words, but it's just not done in that way.
And by the way, the scriptwriter is Sylvester Stallone, so that sounds about right. That's
yeah, he wrote no dialogue for himself. And just kind of dialogue for her.
Yes.
So they really are, I guess, made for each other, which we find out later.
Right.
Which, I mean, you can see from a mile away. So I don't think we're giving too big of a spoiler here.
Yeah. A little surprising that Rambo would find a love interest in this situation, you know?
I guess.
But it happened.
It's an action movie.
It is, yes.
Mm-hmm. That's one thing I can say for sure. So he gets to the camp. And he doesn't even have his camera anymore. So that's completely out of the picture. That flew out of the helicopter probably. We never see it.
He doesn't take one picture.
Not
in this
even a
entire
selfie.
Movie. I think she say something like, "You're going to take pictures, right?" And he's like, "I didn't come here for pictures." And she's like, "What?"
She's got this cool necklace on.
Yeah.
And she says it brings her good luck. And the one other little bit of conversation they have on the way over is she's like, "Why'd they send you?" And he's like, "'Cause I'm expendable."
Oh, yes.
And
right,
she goes, "What does that mean?" And he goes, "You know when you have a party and there's people you don't care if they show up?" Which this is the longest he talks in the entire film. This is basically a monologue for his character. You know how there's people you don't care if they come to a party? That's me. And she just goes, "You're not expendable." She doesn't even know him. She just met him.
Yeah.
And all she knows of him is that he tried to kill her.
When he said that, I was like, is that what expendable means? I mean, I don't think that's a good comparison.
I don't think that's a good thing. That's a good metaphor either, because when I think of expendable, I think of somebody I wouldn't even invite to a party.
Yeah.
I think of somebody that you don't care if they live or die.
Right.
Not like, oh, it'd be cool if they came, but if they don't, no big deal.
Yeah. So what is the party in this scenario? Is the party the place where you get killed, or party?
The party is death.
The party is death. They don't care if you party or not.
Or life, I guess. Life, and they don't care if you die.
He could have just explained what expendable means, literally, instead of like trying to find some poetry to it.
Yeah, because it wasn't very poetic. It was just like, oh, I guess this guy doesn't get invited to many parties outside of this situation.
Yeah. Rambo doesn't have a lot of friends.
No, it doesn't seem like he has any friends. He gets to the camp. He sees a bunch of POWs that are like stuck in this shack type situation. And then there's one guy who's outside who's tied up to this, almost like a crucifix, but the arms are higher up.
Oh, right.
Like a Y in YMCA.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, throwback to our first episode.
Yes,
Can't Stop the Music,
that's
Village
right.
People. He unties him. They get back to like where the pirates are at.
Yeah.
And they get on the boat, but it turns out the pirates are not stand-up guys.
Who could have saw that coming?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they try and kill them. I guess alert the Vietnamese army. So they're getting shot. All kinds of stuff is happening. Rambo just takes out a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
He takes out all the pirates.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ko kills one of them.
Yeah.
And he kills a bunch of dudes. who are like on the sides of the stream.
Yeah.
And then him and the POW guy run to this field where he thinks that the US military is going to pick him up.
Nope.
And a US helicopter shows up, gets real close to him, sees that he's got a POW, and are like, oh, we don't want to deal with. And the bureaucrat guy over the, not walkie-talkie.
Yeah.
What is it called?
Megaphone or?
No.
Of the intercom or?
It's not an intercom.
What is it? I don't know.
Over the radio.
Oh yeah, radio.
Over the radio, they're like, hey, he's got a guy with him. And the bureaucrat guy's like, oh, I don't want to deal with a guy.
He was just supposed to take pictures.
He was just supposed to take pictures of the guy. And so
it's just one guy.
Yeah, it's just one dude.
Extra guy.
Yeah. And he's like, abort mission. So he forces them to just like abandon Rambo and the POW guy.
Yeah.
Rambo gets closed in on all sides from like a bunch of dudes. So he's forced to drop his weapon. They put the POW guy back in the shack. Big bummer. You think you're out, and then you're just right back in.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of pigs in the camp, and there's a little swamp where all the runoff shit from the pigs goes into, and they tie Rambo's arms up, and then they dip him in the pig slop.
Right, yeah.
So he's in there, the pig slop, like, man, this is not going well for me. And then who shows up? The Russians.
Oh, yeah. Right.
They show up in a helicopter. Turns out they're doing something. We don't know what.
No.
But they're involved.
It's a big...
In a classic 80s sort of way.
It's always...
where all villains come back to being Russians.
Yeah. This is like the height 1985, Cold War era.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they're there, and the Russians like, hey... this pig slop thing is a little much. Pull him out. So they pull him out, and he's in like a loincloth, and he's like drenched in the pig slop, and he's like, clean him up. I'm going to torture him in a more polite way.
At this point, I'm like always reminding myself that Stallone wrote this movie himself. So he's like, and then dip me into the pig shit. And then torture me a little more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is weird to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they clean him up. He's brought into this interrogation room.
Yeah.
And the Russian dude's like, look, I want you to call your commander and tell him that it was dumb of you to do this, and they better not send anybody else to get these POWs. And Sylvester just stares at him. And then he's like, come on, man. And then he just keeps staring. So he starts electrocuting him.
Right.
He electrocutes him for quite a while.
He screams.
So much so that the lights are flickering throughout the area that they're in. I thought that was actually a nice touch.
Nice touch.
That was kind of cool.
Yeah.
And then he's not going to break. They're like, wow, you're so strong. Most guys cannot handle this level of electrocution, but you are really taking it. And he doesn't respond to that.
But people at the screen are going, how many times he got to tell you, what you call hell, he calls home.
Exactly. He's like, I'm home, mommy.
This is like a vacation.
Yeah, I missed this. This is actually my comfort feeling. And then, so they bring in the POW that he saved or attempted to save. And they're like, look, you don't care about yourself, but we're going to gouge this dude's eye out if you don't just call him on the radio.
This is how you get Rambo.
Yeah.
Get to the heartstrings.
Yeah. So Rambo just like nods. And they take him to the table and they give him a little like radio transmitter thing. And he calls the bureaucrat guy. And the Russian guy is hovering over his shoulder. As he's clearly tightening his grip around this radio thing that looks like a weapon.
Yeah.
you would think that the Russian dude would foresee what is about to happen here.
Totally, yeah.
Because I was waiting for it for quite a long time.
Yeah.
So he calls the bureaucrat and he's like, hey, they got me. And the bureaucrat's like, okay. He figured out what the bureaucrat's plan was because the Russian guy also showed him their intercepted like radio thing with the helicopter. So he knows they abandoned him on purpose.
Right.
Rambo's like, I'm going to get you. I'm going to kill you. And then he picks up the radio thing and hits the Russian over the head with it.
Right.
Makes a grand escape. I think we cut back to the base, the army base, and we find out that the reason the bureaucrat guy doesn't want to save the POWs is because, one, it'll make him do a lot of paperwork.
They hate that. Those bureaucrats hate paperwork.
Honestly, that's kind of relatable.
Yeah.
This will cause me to do a lot of paperwork. And two, if POWs are found, that it might cause an extension of the war. That people back in the United States might be like, oh, they had all these guys. We should fight more. And that'll cost a lot of money, too.
Yeah.
This twist was, like, kind of fun to me because it's like, yeah, that is such a silly, absurd, but bureaucratic thing to be saying.
Right.
But what really threw me off is apparently they planned this because in the U.S. people were asking questions about POWs and were saying, you better investigate, see if these guys are still over there. We're not sure if they're there or not, or if they're alive or dead.
Yeah.
And they decided to do this mission to appease the people back home. But this is a secret mission that presumably no one knows is going on.
Yeah.
And then if they told people, oh, don't worry, we sent in one random prisoner and he didn't find anything, so it's okay, and now he's dead. Would that really appease public sentiment at all?
I don't think so at all. They'd be like, what'd you do?
Yes.
How'd you pick him? The computer told us.
The computer gave us the top 3 crazy guys. And we picked one, plucked him out of jail.
Yeah.
Dumped him in the jungle. He's dead now. We're not going to investigate that. And they think people would just be like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
No, the plan is, or their logic is just way off.
Right.
Yeah. But I guess they had to figure out how to get Rambo mad about this.
And he's mad as hell, and he's not going to take it anymore.
Yes.
Oh, before that happens, before he escapes, Ko turns back up.
Oh, yeah.
And she helps shoot some dudes.
Right.
They run into the bushes together. She's like, hey, everything here kind of sucks. Can you take me to America after this? And he's like, yeah.
At this point, Rambo should come clean a little bit and say, I don't really know what I have going on. Back in the States, I've been in prison, and
I'm going against the U.S. government right now. They want to kill me. I'm going to have to kill everyone in the U.S. government, probably.
I mean, does his plea deal still go into effect when he broke the rule?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I was thinking that, too. I was like, he can't just think he's just going back.
Yeah. So, but he still says, yeah, you can come back with me. And
he doesn't explain any of that. He's just like, yeah.
Yeah.
She kisses him. Also, while they were like running out of the camp thing to the bushes, he had to open up a barbed wire fence with just his bare hands.
Nice.
And he just looked a little bit uncomfortable. Like how I look when I put my feet in sand is how he was looking when he was gripping barbed wire and moving it out of the way. Yeah. And so she helps like clean up his hands a little bit. So then she stands up and walks a little bit, and people pop out of the bushes and shoot her dead. And he freaks out, kills all of them pretty easily, and then he buries her in a very thick mound.
Yeah.
He doesn't dig deep into the ground, or if he does, he still then puts like a few feet of dirt above it.
It's a lot.
Yeah, he makes a big hill.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What was her last word? She says something to him before she dies. She's like,
she goes, "Don't forget me."
oh yeah,
And
that's
it's
right.
like, why?
And he goes, yeah.
Yeah.
He goes, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. He's just like, yep.
Yeah.
And then he puts on her necklace.
Oh yeah.
And he puts like a piece of her dress, he wraps it around his head, and that's sort of his iconic costume.
Now he's like, now I'm ready to rock and roll.
Now he's locked in. He's got the lucky necklace.
Yeah.
So he goes back, just absolutely massacres everyone in the army camp.
Is this when he's covered in mud?
So on the way there, he kills someone by covering himself in like a wall of mud.
Yeah.
And a soldier thinks that he's just like going past a wall of mud, and then he pops out of it and kills him. And then 2 seconds later, he's like completely clean.
Yeah, guy's like, nothing here but mud. I'm safe. And then an eye pops out from the mud, and like, oh no.
That did look cool. It was super dumb, but it looked cool.
How could he do that just himself, like cover himself in mud, and then he'd be completely clean?
Yeah.
Like a minute later.
And also, what's the point? Because he could have just stood behind the tree. He didn't need to. And how did he know that that guy was going to walk right past that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I thought they should have kept going with this, like have him like pretend to be a tree, and
pretend to be a squirrel.
Yeah.
He's like eating nuts.
He's a pile of leaves.
Yeah, he's a toucan or I don't know, whatever the local animals are.
Yeah. So he kills everybody.
So he kills like a crazy amount of people super quick. He burns down like every building besides the POW building. He rips that open and releases them all. And then he runs to take a helicopter. And surprisingly, all the POWs fit in this helicopter.
How that happens, I don't know.
I was like, they're all going to get in the helicopter? But, you know, it is an army-sized one, so I guess that's okay.
I guess so, yeah. But that's a lot of people.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they all jump in. The Russian guy at the last minute, he's like dying on the ground. He has one last hurrah where he sits up and shoots like one of the POWs. But the guy still lives and gets in the helicopter and they fly away. Yeah. A different Russian dude grabs a crazier helicopter. This thing, it looked pretty nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah. It looked like a big bug. So there's a helicopter chase scene and they're shooting each other. And then to get away from the helicopter, he pretends to crash the helicopter. He like plays dead. Yeah. And then when the other helicopter goes down to hover to look at him, and the guy puts his finger over a trigger to shoot Rambo again, just in case, he's hovering that finger over the trigger for quite a long time, just smirking. Just staring like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna shoot him at some point. And then Rambo just pops up and shoots him with a weapon so comically large that if you really use that, you would seriously injure all the people behind you. Yes. But Rambo is successful. He flies the helicopter back to the base. And I was getting a little nervous for them because he radios in and is like, I'm coming back to the base, prepare for landing. Yeah. And all the army guys are like, woohoo, they're coming back. And the bureaucrat guy is like sweating. Yeah, he's like, oh. This I thought was a funny touch. His whole shirt is like wet. He's like, oh no. Rambo has figured me out. He's not happy. Yeah. So Rambo lands. I thought there was going to be like immediately a shootout between them, but the guy hides in his office.
Yeah, of course.
He doesn't, you would think he'd try to run further than that, but...
He pretends to do paperwork.
Yeah,
he's like, I'm doing the paperwork.
Don't worry, it's okay after all.
Sorry.
Yeah, just a few more signatures needed. Rambo walks in, he shoots up all the computers.
The computer that came up with his name.
Yeah. Get a better algorithm.
You're the one who got me into this mess.
Yeah.
He unloads the entire gun.
Yeah, I was like, don't you want to use that for the bureaucrat guy? But he has a lot of bullets, but he uses every last one in the computer room.
And he's screaming at the top of his lungs.
Yeah, no words, just animal screams, screeches. And then he runs up to the bureaucrat's office. Somehow he knows he's in there. He's like, you're going to be hiding in your office. And he grabs him. The guy's like, look, it wasn't, my idea. It's the politicians, which is true.
Sure. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Just following orders. And bad people say that. Yes.
But anyways, Rambo pushes him onto the desk by his neck and he pulls out his knife. And just when you think he's going to stab him, he stabs right next to him and he goes, I know there's still POWs in there. So you better find a way to find the rest of them or I will come back and kill you later. And then he just walks out. Yeah. And I was thinking, that sounds more like a job for Rambo than the bureaucrat guy.
He's the most qualified person to get these POWs out of the...
I don't think the bureaucrat guy even has the power to assign another person to do that.
Yeah. But also, how can you threaten to kill somebody and then like come back and kill? Like,
and how is he going to be keeping tabs on him to know that he's doing the proper paperwork to rescue these people?
Yeah, and what is Rambo going to be doing in the meantime?
Yes.
Like just take a part-time job or something?
Yeah, he's going to get into like copywriting and he's going to learn to code. Yeah.
He's right. This paperwork does suck.
So he struts out and his former army leader guy runs up to him and is just like, yikes.
Sorry, Rambo.
Sorry about that. Like, I didn't mean for that to happen. And he's like, yeah, I know. The guy's like, you must hate the U.S. after this.
That really set him off.
Yeah, and Rambo's like, actually, I love the United States. I just want it to love me as much as I love it. And I was like, that's an interesting... okay.
Yeah.
And then... this next question I thought was a very odd turn. He was like, well, what are you going to do now?
Yeah.
I was like, you don't want to dig into what he just said?
Yeah. Right.
And Rambo goes, take it day by day.
And then he walks off into the sunset.
Yeah. And then... we've had a lot of bad 80s music in these movies, but I have to say the song that comes on is probably the worst one that we've heard. It's so silly. Mm-hmm. It's like an anti-war song, so you feel kind of bad making fun of it, but it's so bad. And I looked it up. It was written by Sylvester Stallone's brother.
Frank Stallone.
Frank Stallone. Yeah.
And nominated for worst song. Didn't even win, but...
it should have.
It should have. That was a bad song.
Yeah. One thing about this movie, I thought besides that, the music was pretty good for an 80s movie.
Yeah, yeah.
And then that came on and I was like, what is this?
Right. That was Frank Stallone's big shot. And
you
didn't
blew
work.
it.
Didn't work. Some background with this movie. I mean, there was the first Rambo First Blood movie, and that was like intended to be like a thoughtful movie about PTSD and Vietnam vets coming back after the war. But Stallone trimmed it from a 3-hour movie to a 90-minute movie. And one of his instruction was, take out all my dialogue. Take out all the words.
I just want to stare.
Yeah. Just take out everything that I say in the movie. And it just became like an action movie. So, originally he was going to kill himself, but then he told the director, no, I've done Rocky 2, Rocky 3. Let me do this. There could be a Rambo 2. So that's why it ends that way originally, and then they came up with this one.
Yeah, he's like, wait a second.
Yeah.
I did more than one of this other movie.
Yeah.
What if that's a thing?
Right.
I just do 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, franchise.
Yeah. Rocky. I mean, Rambo in space.
Now that would be a good movie.
Yeah.
Rambo, we need you for one more mission. It's on the moon. Yeah.
You've got a lot of experience breaking up rocks. The moon is just a big rock.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And apparently this was like a thing in 1985 that, you know, there was all this word spreading that there might be still POW prisoners. I guess that's redundant, but prisoners that are still over in Vietnam. And so this movie sort of capitalizes on that, which I'm not crazy about. It just seems a little exploitive.
It seems weird to be referencing a serious thing when you're making a movie this bad. And I know that people don't always intend to make bad movies, but I don't think this was ever intended to be like taken seriously. I think this movie was very obviously intended to be like, how many explosions can we get in one movie and how many people can we shoot, and that'll be like fun for people to see.
Yeah, well, I think that one of the things I like about it winning the Razzie Award is this seemed like a cash motivated film.
And it did that.
Made a lot of money. Yeah, made a lot of money. And I think as opposed to the other films we watched, some bad, some okay, those seem like punching down because all those films bombed.
Yes.
And this film succeeded. And
despite it's interesting.
quality.
This is one of those movies that has a wildly different critic score on Rotten Tomatoes than audience score.
Yeah, audiences like it, but critics did not. So I like that they're kind of punching up because they're going after a big blockbuster that is bad.
Yeah, and they're reminding people things with explosions in them can be bad.
Yeah. Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't, interesting, thoughtful Vietnam commentary or anything like that.
No. The one kind of interesting thing that I read about it is that Stallone did really want the bureaucrats and like the bad guys to be right wing, but one thing that was really interesting is he wanted Rambo to be apolitical.
That's so interesting. And I think he probably, from what I know about him, he claims to be apolitical, but he just recently joined Trump's movie force or whatever they're called. So he is a Trump supporter now.
Wait, what's Trump's movie force?
He, I don't quote me on movie force because that might not be, but he's got like a squad of actors like Stallone, John Voight, Mel Gibson, and I think one other guy.
I knew Mel was going to be in there.
Mel's doubling down on being a horrible person. So Stallone, I guess, I mean, I can only interpret that as him being a Trump supporter, even though he claims to be apolitical.
Yeah,
that is interesting that he made that choice for the time.
Yeah, it is an interesting choice. And on Wikipedia, it said that a lot of soldiers that he interviewed said that they were apolitical, which I thought was interesting because I guess, war can get you just disillusioned with the whole thing.
Yes.
And that makes sense.
That does.
And I do think it could have made sense to have a hero that, because of their PTSD, is unable to show a lot of emotion and get really invested in stuff. But the combination of making him show so little emotion and kill so many people without getting like much injury at all.
Yeah.
Like he looks pretty much the same at the end of the movie that he does at the beginning of the movie.
Oh yeah, not a scratch on him.
Yeah, even when like we see his face get sliced with a knife, you don't really see that scar on him later on.
No.
He just comes across as like a machine, which, maybe is part of what they were trying to say, that in war, people are just like a cog in a machine. But it just didn't fully come together for me.
Yeah, it's just an excuse to make some sort of indestructible action hero.
Yes.
And I think that's not particularly fair to use something as serious as veterans with PTSD to create a superhero. And he is like just killing people like really ruthlessly.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's
and there's no sense of, these are real people on the other side.
right. You have right, totally. So it didn't feel good.
No.
Yeah.
No, and I also honestly felt kind of bored throughout the whole thing.
Nothing really. It's like watching nothing. It's like big explosions, but nothing really is happening.
Yeah. It felt kind of like a tedious watch to me. I think it was because, you didn't really care about any of the characters. I don't know. How would you improve this movie?
Well, I don't know. I think there's an interesting idea about a journalist going over there to take photographs, and then they actually decide to change their mind midway through the movie and realize they have to intervene.
Yeah, that could be interesting.
Yeah, I think that could be, and the fact that they're not super muscular or something and they're just like a photojournalist.
Yeah, if someone had to use more creative ways to kill people than just his brute force, which is also interesting because I think there's a line in this movie, I forget when exactly, where he says like the greatest weapon of all is the brain, but he never uses his brain. He's just blowing stuff up the whole time.
There's no scenes of him reading on the boat or anything like that.
No.
Yeah.
He's like almost never like tricking anyone. Like he kind of tricks the Russian guy, but the Russian guy with the radio thing, but the Russian guy just walked right into that.
Yeah.
He even was like, I'm going to put you in the chair next to the radio and you're going to do what I say. And he didn't even have a gun to his head. He's just standing there stupidly with a dumb little smile.
Yeah, so he didn't outwit him or anything.
No.
Yeah.
No, the Russian guy practically handed him that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that would be a better version of this, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, that could be fun too, to see what the journalist like perceives is going to be happening and going to be the experience, and then the reality is much more complicated.
Yeah.
I think if there was going to be a love story, we should have seen a little bit more of an actual connection between them.
Oh, yeah.
They have very little conversation.
Totally.
She sees him and is immediately like, yeah. And he's like, yeah. And then it's a done deal.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah. And I also thought it was really interesting. So she's from Vietnam in the movie. Her character is.
Yeah.
The actress isn't, but the character is. And in this movie, like her father, who recently died, was helping the United States, and now she's taken over his role. And I was like, oh, she is in like a very interesting position that she's kind of going against her whole country.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder, like, how she feels about that. And we didn't really hear much about her internal life or struggle at all.
No, and that would have been interesting to learn about.
Yeah, so I think either cut the love story entirely or give us a little bit of a more developed female character and show them actually getting to know each other a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of do like the idea of a bureaucrat being evil because he doesn't want to do paperwork.
Yeah, that is pretty good.
And spend money. You got to stay in budget.
That's good. Yeah.
But yeah, I do feel like that could have been executed better. And he is not wrong that the politicians are the real enemy. So I think it also could have been cool to have a politician character.
Oh, that'd be good.
Who was like super evil, and then the bureaucrat who's more like just lazy.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Mm-hmm.
Rambo like jumps into one of their speeches and interrupts.
Yeah, it's like, hey, you guys are messing up here.
Yeah.
Any other like fun facts that we didn't talk about?
Let's see. I'm trying to remember some things. think that might be it.
Yeah, I think we talked about a lot throughout this time. Do you have a palate cleanser for this week? Something that you watched that you actually enjoyed and thought is worth watching?
Let me think. What did I see this week? I saw Paddington in Peru.
Oh.
I love the Paddington movies. This is the third one.
Seems like a very different character than Rambo.
Oh my God,
Paddington
so delightful.
Might be Rambo's opposite.
Maybe. Yeah, I'd like to see a combo movie with Paddington teaching Rambo some lessons about. But Paddington Peru was a lot of fun. Keep them coming. I could go for a Paddington movie every 2 years.
Nice.
Yeah.
I saw Sinners in theaters.
Oh, yeah.
It was really fun. It's a beautifully filmed movie. It's one of those movie theater experiences that feels like you're watching movies from back in the day that were filmed on real film because it just looks beautiful. It's fun. It's scary. It has a lot of deep messages in there that I won't really get into because I don't want to give spoilers. But if you're looking for a fun movie to see, you should see it.
Nice. Okay. Do we have another thing?
I feel like there's another thing, but I can't think of it.
I think
what
we
it would
went
be.
through everything.
I think we went through everything
and,
too.
We said if it deserved it or not.
Oh,
we
I feel
that,
like we
right?
didn't explicitly say that.
Want to do that?
Do we feel that it deserved the Razzie? I would say yes.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, and I like that it was, like I said, like a huge box office hit, and they took it down a notch.
Yeah, they were like, come on, guys.
Yeah, let's do a little better.
What are we doing? Yeah.
Yeah, so that's cool.
I think that's all we got. So thank you guys so much for listening. Check us out next week. We are releasing these every week, if you can believe.
Once a week.
Once a week, everywhere you get your podcasts. And also, if you like us, please subscribe or rate or review or press any button on anything that you can think of, because every button push helps.
Comment. Tell your friends. Spread the word.
Yeah. Just think good thoughts for us.
Venmo us.
Venmo us. That'd be fun.
Just Venmo.
Any amount.
Anything. Nothing's too small. Nothing's too big. And next week is Howard the Duck, I believe.
Oh my. That one's a doozy. You're going to want to tune into that one.
Cool.
All right. Bye.
Bye.